What's up? Most of you know that GM is doing pretty darn good with their sales, despite a lot of the bad press that they're getting, specifically on like the 6.2 liter and then the 10 on 1000 transmission. Some of the Duramaxes are having oil cooler failures, but regardless of that, GM is doing pretty darn good with their sales. And that shouldn't come as a surprise because after GM refreshed their HD trucks back in 2024, they pretty much had a home run. The Chevy Silverado, I think, is one of the coolest rugged trucks on the market. And most people know GMC has the prettiest trucks on the market for sure. Hence why I added my off-road bumper here to kind of give it that more rugged look that I was going for. But they do face a challenge. And at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about something that these manufacturers need to be doing more of because there's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. Now, I posted a video this morning right here on my Corvette. So in that video, I discussed my check engine light, okay? So that footage is probably a month old. If you watch my Corvette content, thank you so much. YouTube does not recommend this content anymore for whatever reason. So I finally, a month later, had a chance to take my car apart, and I am figuring out why my car is throwing the check engine light with these high flow, fast speed sport cats, okay? So be sure to watch this content if you do like Corvette stuff. If you don't, then I get that. Then I wouldn't watch it either. But yes, if you do like the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and that way you don't miss any notifications. Let's jump into the video. I found this article on GMAuthority.com. You guys see here, new threat coming to Chevy Silverado and GMC HD sales. So sales for the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra HD pickups have been gaining ground over the last year or so, but a new competitive threat is emerging that could pump the brakes on GM's momentum. Even though the Silverado and Sierra HD have been chipping away at the Ford Super Duty in recent years, the GM duo is now about to face down a surge of additional supply from their crosstown rival, and it may end up shifting the balance back towards the Blue Oval brand in the highly competitive HD truck segment. Goes on to say, in its second quarter 2025 sales report, GM stated that Silverado HD sales were the best they had been in 20 years, rising 19% during the first half of 2025. Those gains came in part at the expense of the Ford Super Duty, which has faced tightening supply as of late. The article doesn't discuss why Ford was producing less trucks, but most of you probably remember the aluminum fire that happened. I believe it was in New Jersey. And that was primarily where Ford was getting their aluminum from. So I'm pretty sure they've been able to find alternative solutions for that. Hence why they're probably increasing production. Now the article goes on to say that those constraints that the Ford Super Duty had are about to lift. According to our sister publication, Ford Authority, Ford plans to increase Super Duty production by roughly 5,000 units at its Kentucky plant during 2026. More significantly, once Ford's Oakville facility begins ramping up Super Duty output, it could eventually produce as many as 100,000 additional HD trucks annually. That represents a substantial influx of inventory for both the US and Canadian markets. With more trucks available on dealer lots, Ford will be better positioned to meet pent-up demand, an advantage that could translate directly into improved Super Duty sales at the expense of GM's momentum. Ford doesn't break out Super Duty sales separately from its broader F-Series reporting, making it difficult to directly compare the Super Duty against GM's HD pickups. However, overall numbers highlight how close the competition has become. Combining all variants of the Silverado lineup, 1500 HD and EV, Chevrolet sold 580,368 trucks during the 2025 calendar year, an increase of 5.5%. GM Sierra sales reached 356,218 units, up 9.7%. Together, GM delivered 936,586 full-size trucks in 2025, marking a 7.1% increase. Ford, meanwhile, sold 828,832 F-Series trucks, F-150, Lightning, and Super Duty, up 8.3% year over year, with a major Super Duty production increase looming. Ford could begin reclaiming some of that HD volume it previously ceded. So yes, when you consider the sales of Chevy and GMC pickups, they are considered number one, right? Because they're essentially the same company. But I do find it funny that Ford does not break out half ton in Super Duty sales. It's kind of interesting that they don't do that. They're very smart because that's how they're able to get that 49 and 50 year best-selling trucks on the road. Now, with that being said, I did a video maybe a few weeks ago in regards to Ford, saying how are they going to continue to compete? Simply because their trucks have not had any major changes or updates since 2023. Back in 2017, the Super Duty got a complete redesign, and then they followed up in 2020 with some pretty big updates to like their power stroke and adding a 10-speed transmission. So because of what's happening for 2026 for the half-ton GM trucks, for the half-ton segment that is, we're going to be seeing complete redesign pickups. And then in 2027, they'll probably follow up with the HD trucks getting a complete redesign, probably for the 2028 model year in 2027. That's pretty much how it's been going as of late. So yes, how is Ford going to continue to compete? Because they are due for a refresh on their trucks. But will they do it? Because no one has been able to eclipse their high output power stroke and horsepower and torque. They're still at the top of Mount Rushmore with that. And their gas engines outperform GM and Ram trucks too. So when you consider that, I think that Ford is obviously a threat. But if GM follows up with new powertrains for their half tons, and then they follow up with the HD segment with a redesign with more horsepower and torque as well, it's very possible that GM could actually continue to be a threat to Ford. But we'll have to wait and see. Now let's talk about what the manufacturers need to do to bring more confidence to their products. Because you can bring out an even better looking truck than this, but if it brings the same issues, it's not worth buying. Most of you guys know we have this Lexus SUV, has a 3.4 liter twin turbo V6. These engines are prone to failures, and I don't think Toyota has a solution on how to fix it. The main reason why we bought this SUV is because we owned a 2013 Toyota Land Cruiser back in the day, and it was absolutely amazing. Oil changes and tire rotations. This thing here, this is 2023, so it's not the I think these came out in 2021 as 2022s, I can't remember now. But regardless of it, they're just not that great. Recalls, I think we've had 3 recalls. We've had issues with just noise from like the sunroof, suspension's been a little wonky. And again, we have this recall that has no resolution for the 3.4 liter twin turbo V6. Now, we bought this car back in 2015, I believe, 2016, somewhere in there. This is a 2013 Lexus ES350. It has that 3.5 liter V6. This thing's been nothing short of just reliable. Reliable car, no issues really that I can think of. And it has just under 100,000 miles on it. And that's my daily driver. When I don't drive my truck, that's what I drive. But the manufacturers, when they release new products, this is what they need to do. They need to address their shortcomings on the previous models or the generation of their truck. So for this 2024, which actually came out in 2020, because that's when they released the 10L1000, they need to talk about some of the issues that they had, just like with the 6.2 liter gas V8. They need to discuss these issues. Hey, we noticed that with these engines, with these transmissions, here are the issues that we had, and here's how we fixed it. I don't care about a new redesigned truck. All I want is reliability. Hence why I've been dumping so much money into this truck. You guys have seen all the upgrades I've done. I've done weight loss program, and I've gotten rid of some of the issues I think that this truck could have in the future. Hence why I tell you guys to plug these trucks in, simply because the oil pressure is just outrageous when these trucks start up. Now, the 10L1000, if you are concerned about your transmission going out and you can't afford, or maybe you don't want to do the valve body right now because your truck's still under warranty, I highly recommend AMSOIL's ultra low viscosity oil. This is not the one you need for the 10L1000. This is actually for my transfer case, and this is just what I have left over, including my rear axle, the 75W90, and the 75W85 for the front axle. So If you're concerned about the 10-1000, I strongly recommend 30,000 mile service. Use the AMSOIL ultra low viscosity in there, and that will probably prolong the life. It's probably a Band-Aid. Some of you guys call it a Band-Aid. I call it cheap insurance, because if you need your truck and you don't want to spend the money for a new valve body, I respect that too, because your manufacturer should give you the confidence that you need to know that the valve body is not going to go out. So that's why I think the manufacturers need to do a better job. If you're going to release a new product in a year or two, let us know exactly what you updated to make us feel those warm and fuzzies, because you guys have done a bad job these last 5 or so years. Ever since, 2020, because of what's been going on in the world, it just seems like customer service just sucks. If you go to a restaurant, I mean, we don't even eat out anymore. If we eat out, it's because our friends want to eat out and we go out with them. But apart from that, I don't like to go out because I don't feel like the service is there. And I'd rather just eat at my house than eat out and get bad service and have a bad experience. So the manufacturers need to do a better job at showing us, hey, here's what we've done to the Duramax to make it better. Here's what we've done to enhance the 10-1000. Did you go with steel versus the aluminum? I mean, I don't care. Whatever the case is, let us know the updates that you've done to give us that consumer confidence back in these products. It used to be Toyota was the best brand on the market for reliability. If you were buying a Toyota Tundra, you were probably buying it because of the 5.7. Now that 5.7 is no longer available, and you have what's, kind of a ticking time bomb in the Toyota Tundra. So what are they going to do to give us that consumer confidence? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. See you guys in the next video.